Chicago's seen it all, but it's never experienced anything quite like this. A two-day racing and music festival featuring the Chainsmokers, Miranda Lambert, the Black Crowes, and Charlie Crockett. It's NASCAR in the streets of Chicago, and so much more. The Chicago Street Race Weekend. For tickets and experiences, visit NASCARChicago.com.
Roll Tide and welcome to this Thursday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. This is Roger Hoover. Great to be with you from our studios in Tuscaloosa as we're excited to talk about baseball only on this week's edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. We'll have a slimmed down version of the show today, but still our major headline thanks to our friends at RJ Young. RJ Young, the official technology solutions provider of Crimson Drive. The headline is this Crimson Tide baseball team. Last weekend at Sewell Thomas Stadium in front of a sellout crowd for every game of the Tuscaloosa Regional and the NCAA tournament, Crimson Tide posted 3 impressive victories on Friday against Nichols, on Saturday against Troy in a crazy come-from-behind ball game, and then on late Sunday night, it was a win against Boston College that even spilled over into early Monday morning, and that allowed Alabama to clinch the NCAA Tuscaloosa Regional and move on to what's coming up this weekend, the Super Regionals, coming up in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, against the host school and the number 1 overall seed for this tournament, Wake Forest. You have the number 1 seed Wake Forest, the number 16 seed Alabama, but this Crimson Tide ball club playing really well, and you consider how battle-tested they've been all throughout the season, even going on the road a few times against the nation's number 1 team in the country in the SEC. Alabama's certainly ready for a moment like this. So on this week's edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, we wanted to check in with my fellow baseball broadcaster Chris Stewart, get his thoughts on this Crimson Tide baseball team as we prepare for the Super Regionals coming up in Winston-Salem. Chris, we said we would do this the next week if Alabama made it through the Tuscaloosa Regional. Here we are. Let's go to Winston-Salem for a Super Regional. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. I am all fine with going to Winston-Salem or anywhere else for a Super after a really amazing performance by our baseball team. It was so much fun to see them literally weather the storms and get to where they needed to not just win it, but to win it in front of 3 fantastic crowds at Sewell Thomas and earn in a major way earn that opportunity to play in Super Regional this week.
Have you caught up on sleep just yet?
No, and that's okay. That's for what the week after Omaha is for, where we will sleep later. I slept enough in my teens that I think I've still got enough stored up, but it was a good Lord. It was late and, 1:45, I guess, when I walked out of the stadium Sunday night / Monday morning, however you want to say it. And then had a kind of an early wake up the next day, but it was obviously worth it and something I hope we're doing again soon.
Absolutely. Well, looking at the games that Alabama played, a tight victory against Nichols on Friday, and then the Troy game certainly was stunning in the 9th inning. You saw that on my face reacting to the go-ahead runs for the Crimson Tide. Just how did you view that ball game and the way that Alabama was always able to punch back against a Troy team that was hitting the ball well, pitching well at times, just unfortunately for them, did not play strong defense in the end?
Yeah, they made some great plays early, though, that may have changed the flow of that game. If you recall, there were several plays that they made that ended Alabama opportunities that if they boot those a little bit earlier or just, not even boot them, but if they're not able to come up with those plays because they weren't routine, then maybe what happens at the end doesn't even need to happen. So again, it was mistakes late that were glaring, but it was great play by them, I thought, earlier that put them in position to have a chance to win it all.
Certainly was the case, and we, of course, saw another home run in that ball game by Andrew Pinckney. We talked about him a lot last week, but how about Caden Rose getting a 2-run homer to start the scoring for the Crimson Tide, and really the bottom of the order between him, Ed Johnson, Matt Gassetti, had great production all weekend long.
And they start to run together, and I guess it was the Nichols game where Gassetti had that phenomenal 7th, 8th, and 9th. He hits the home run, then he makes the throw to second, then he lays down the sack bunt that led to the Jim Jarvis heroics with the 2-out base hit, scoring the winning run, but he did things in that game against Troy and was so good behind the plate throughout. You're right. And I think it's what makes this team so dangerous, Roger, is the fact that, there are no true holes in the lineup. When you look and you go, okay, well, this guy may not have as good an average as this guy, but at the same time, there are points in the season where you can look at each spot 1 through 9, or even in guys that are not everyday players, that are pinch hitters, part-time starters, however you want to phrase it. They have shown they're capable of delivering a home run. They're certainly capable of laying down a bunt or a big hit at a crucial time. It's the depth and the talent across the board on this team that there may be others that have better individual players, but I don't know that there's a squad out there that's left that has a better collective roster that understands its role and its needs better than this one does for Jason Jackson.
Speaking of Jason Jackson, of course, you've got to know him throughout the past 6 years that he's been on campus at Alabama as the pitching coach. And of course, since early May, the interim head coach. Just from your vantage point and getting to be around him, even in the transition time, what struck you the most about how he's led this ball club?
Because he's still the same guy that I've known for 6 years, even though things have changed in terms of the spotlight, what's asked of him. A lot of things have changed in the last month. JJ hasn't changed. He's the same guy. He's the same even-keeled, tremendous coach, teacher, but I think we're finding out what a great leader he is, because he has been phenomenal in this role, in this incredibly tough situation, where he has been the perfect person to guide Alabama through this and give this veteran, deep, experienced, talented, mature roster what it needs. It doesn't matter. The biggest and best ship still needs a very capable captain, and he has proven to be that for this squad.
It's gotten this group all the way to Super Regional, now taking on the number 1 overall seed for the tournament in Wake Forest. Alabama had to grind out a couple of games in its regional. Wake Forest largely won in blowout fashion in their games in Winston-Salem. Just as you've learned about the Demon Deacons getting ready for this weekend, what stands out to you the most?
Pitching depth among their starting rotation, certainly. A team that is very confident in what they can do at the plate, a fan base that's enjoying it. We kind of joke, Bama's hoping to party like it's 1999 because it'll be the first time since then that Bama would go to Omaha, if we could pull that off. Well, they're partying like it's 1955. They haven't been to a World Series since then, and they won it back in 55. And no, I didn't cover it, and no, I wasn't even born, just so you'll know. But it is special to see what both teams have done, what both programs have done. They're good. Their fan base is going to be into it, obviously, been very supportive. But the great thing is for Alabama, there's no environment they'll face there this weekend in Winston-Salem that is any more rambunctious, and certainly won't be as large as many that they have faced and had success in around the Southeastern Conference.
Certainly going to be a lot of fun. The Crimson Tide and the Demon Deacons with a spot in the College World Series field on the line, a trip to Omaha on the line, and a best-of-3 game series this weekend. Chris, can't wait to see you in Winston-Salem coming up later on this weekend, and all the fun will begin on Saturday on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. But thank you for your time today on Crimson Drive, Roll Tide. And again, let's do this again next week, maybe from Omaha.
Partner, next week. That's what we need to do. It sounds great. Thanks so much.
Chicago's seen it all, but it's never experienced anything quite like this. The Chicago Street Race Weekend. For tickets and experiences, visit NASCARchicago.com.
Huge thank you to Chris Stewart for his time. Look forward to teaming up with him for all of the games coming up in the Super Regional in Winston-Salem, starting on Saturday as we look ahead to our Wickles Weekend Update, brought to you by Wickles Pickles. They are wickedly delicious. We do know the start time for the first game of the Winston-Salem Super Regional. It will be on Saturday at 11 a.m. Central, and then Sunday and Monday, the second and third games of the series. We still don't know the start time. Also, we don't know which television network they will be on, but again, we do know that they will be aired 3rd on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. We'll have radio coverage for you and some booth cam highlights as well on our social media channels as we look forward to what will hopefully be a very special weekend. Again, Alabama only 2 wins away from getting this program back to the College World Series in Omaha for the first time since 1999. We're really excited about what's ahead for this Crimson Tide baseball team, and thank you all for the support that you showed us in Tuscaloosa at the Joe this past weekend, and hopefully that'll carry forward into some great moments coming up for the Alabama Crimson Tide. That's going to wrap up this slimmed down edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, but huge thank you to all of you for watching, and now let's support this Crimson Tide baseball team as they prepare for the Winston-Salem Super Regional. Until next week, so long, everyone.